Donald Trump's war in Iran spiraling out of control. It is getting even worse, folks. Donald Trump utilizing a combination of faking that all these nations are with us now and helping us in the Strait of Hormuz, and that we've put together a coalition of the willing who will be securing the strait from Iran. And then Donald Trump doing a begging, please, we need you, we need your help, to Donald Trump saying, we don't need you, we're too strong anyway, stay out, we're testing you, and you failed the test. So that's what's happening in Iran, while the Iranian regime is out there just mocking Donald Trump and saying, can you believe this level of desperation? It's pathetic. They're lying about everything. I've never could have fathomed the United States would look this weak. And we now see the public statements from all of these world leaders, whether it's Germany, whether it's France, whether it's Italy, whether it's Japan, you name it, whether it's Prime Minister Keir Starmer in the UK. They're all basically saying, well, Canada, we didn't start this war, okay? We weren't consulted about this. You're on your own. We're going to do what we need to do defensively here because we recognize we're still existing within an international construct. But good luck. You're on your own when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. We wish you well. And Donald Trump can't tweet his way out of this. In fact, in Iran, they're saying that. They're saying your tweets aren't going to work. There's no social media post that's going to stop us. You are stuck, and we are going to make sure that this is very painful for you. And then Donald Trump was giving statements at multiple press conferences today saying, I never expected that Iran was going to go after the other Arab nations. Nobody expected this. Actually, lots of people expected it. You know who expected it? The Arab nations who warned you about specifically that and said, don't go this alone. Don't rush into this. Do diplomacy, and Donald Trump ignored it. So what's Donald Trump doing next? What sociopaths, malignant narcissists, authoritarians do. Donald Trump's been now spending the latter part of this afternoon talking about how Cuba is his. Cuba is mine. Cuba belongs to me. I will take it. I will do whatever I want with Cuba. I mean, literally, I'm doing direct quotes right there. I'll show you the clip in a moment. It is mine. I will take it. We'll talk about this and more. And of course, let's not forget the American people are suffering right now, right? You have the price of gas surging. People can't afford things right now. Our economy is absolutely tanking as a result of what this Trump regime is doing. We'll talk about it all here on the Midas Touch podcast. I'm here in Austin with Brett and Jordy, where we are attending a number of podcast and media related things representing the Midas Mighty out here. If you've been wondering where are you guys? That's where we've been lately. And it's been an honor, though, to represent the Midas Touch Network out here. Brett and Jordy.
Midas Touch live from Austin, Texas. Who'd have thunk it? They actually got us out of the house, brothers. Look at that. You know, it's been a good trip so far. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody watching live, everybody listening on the audio podcast. You know, I know, I'll just say out front, I know we're still having issues with the audio podcast on Apple Podcasts. If you're still unable to find the feed, let us know. We're working with it. But just continue to refresh that feed, leave reviews. It's the most important thing right now to help us out. And we're talking to Apple to try to get all of that resolved. Last night, I'm excited to announce we won a really cool award, the Independent Podcast and Creators Award. We won the Advertiser's Choice Award there. That was super cool. And we got more events tonight. So I'm ready to go as is. You know, watching Trump over these past, a few days, especially as the war spiraled out of control, you can't help but see karma in action. For the past year plus, Donald Trump has been giving an FU to all of our allies. He's been treating himself like he is the king of the world. And he's been basically saying, I don't need any of you. And in recent days, even saying that quite directly. We don't need you. We won the war. All good. Game over. That's it. And then we see just a few days later now, Donald Trump begging, one might say begging like a dog, begging like a dog for these countries to help and just making things up like, oh yeah, they're going to help. They're going to come in. This country's going to come, putting those countries in danger, causing those countries to then release statements going, we ain't doing shit. We're not helping you out. You are not the king of the world. In a way, those countries teaching Donald Trump a lesson, saying, see, as we told you, you need us, Donald Trump. You cannot do this alone. This is a global effort. And this post-World War II alliance that we have built, we have done for a reason, and you have ruined it all. So good luck. You are on your own. And you can't help but think that Donald Trump has promised the golden age of America, but in fact, he has brought on the age of American humiliation. And we are witnessing that, sadly, every single day, right here alongside Jordy. You know, we're recording this. You know, you got to be a little guerrilla style when you're on the road. You know, you got to be scrappy. So Jordy and I are recording in the same room. Jordy, what's the latest? It's good to see you in person.
Great to see you in person. This is real. For the audio listeners, I'm actually touching Brett right now, not green screen. We are live in the same room. What's up, brothers? What's up, Brett? What's up, Midas Mighty? Look, a lot to get into the show today. Really, really excited to dive in here.
Glad you brushed your teeth today.
I mean, we're like really close. Wow. Donald Trump is spiraling. He is spiraling and he is panicking. There is no other way to put this. He's rambling like a madman right now. And American troops and the American wallet, they are paying the price. There's no way to sugarcoat it. What's happening right now is an absolute disaster. And there's no accountability from any quote unquote leadership of this government right now. No, if anything, they're trying to figure out who to blame. Who can I point the finger at? Well, unfortunately for Donald Trump, there is no one to blame except Donald Trump and his regime right now. And the American people are wising up to that. And they are rising up against Donald Trump and this regime. And I'm excited to see how this continues to develop. And I just hope it develops more positively here for the American people. And I'm excited to continue to call Donald Trump and this bullshit regime out every step of the way. Benji, where are we starting off today?
You start off cursing because we're in Austin, and that's what you do right in that intro, Jordy. Start with throwing some
I cursed? I didn't curse.
Okay, I mean, we'll go back and we'll rewind a little bit.
What was my curse?
Bullshit?
Now you're cursing.
Wow. Wow. All right, well, let's get into right away.
In Texas.
Let's get into it right away. Look, Donald Trump and his regime they're lying about everything. I mean, and, when they start lying about, things domestically and then utilize their regime propaganda here in the United States, maybe that works here in the United States, to kind of have this Ponzi scheme like, lies built on lies. This is covering up for that, covering up the Epstein files by covering up this and that and the other thing. This ain't working on an international scale right now. And it just looks utterly pathetic. I mean, Donald Trump will say over the weekend, I have now assembled a massive coalition of countries, and they have agreed to go into the Strait of Hormuz with the United States. We'll be rolling it out this week. And you have to be like, okay, well, who are these countries? That's a pretty big proclamation. Which ones are you talking about? I don't think other countries want to treat this like a cliffhanger for season 2, right? This is life or death stuff. In Iran, they're mocking Donald Trump right now, and they have him, basically on a street corner holding up a sign saying, "Help me open Hormuz," because that's what it looks like to audiences outside of a group of people who get their news from regime propaganda here in the United States. And I'm not just talking about state regime media, which calls itself Fox. You have CBS, which in many ways is state regime media. Lots of local news here in the United States.
So I'll tell a quick story, Ben. I know you're getting into things, but I was in Ben's room earlier, and I think like the local NBC News was on, and they were reporting on the war. I said, Ben, listen to this report right now.
Crazy.
And it was like, they do it so quickly and they have their format of the local news, but it was like the craziest propaganda. It was like, President Donald Trump, with more precision strikes on Iranian targets as he continues to destroy Iran's infrastructure. Then they play like a clip of Donald Trump going like, we're beating the hell out of them. And then it goes, and a new viral beauty trend is going live on TikTok. And like, that's how the news is presented to people. Like they are not getting getting the accurate information. By the way, I wish it were true that we actually had some sort of strategy in the war. I wish that Donald Trump was telling us the truth. I wish those things were actually true. But what we are witnessing right now is Donald Trump just trying to lie and spread his propaganda and gaslight the public. And in turn, it's not making us look strong. It's making the United States look weak, because Iran knows the truth. All of our allies around the world know the truth. All of our adversaries around the world know the truth. So when Donald Trump says something like, he made this deranged Truth Social post last night that was like, the media is fake and they are lying about everything you're seeing. Donald Trump said, Iran, who has been known as the master of media manipulation and public relations. Nobody has ever called Iran the master of media manipulation and public relations. And Donald Trump goes, all those images you're seeing of ships that were hit by Iranian drones and buildings in Dubai that were struck, and across the United Arab Emirates that are struck, we're showing them on the screen right now, in Saudi Arabia, our embassies, all of that is just AI. It's fake. It's fake. The media knows it's fake. It's all AI. Don't believe it. Don't believe your eyes. It's AI. And the media who's reporting on this, they all need to be prosecuted and they all need to go to prison. That's deranged stuff. And, it's not like we could not have predicted this. We saw, remember during the campaign, when Donald Trump would say Kamala Harris's crowd, those crowds are all AI. Those are all fake people, and the media should be ashamed and prosecuted for doing that. Well, now we are in a war. American troops are dying each and every day, and Donald Trump is pretending it's all fake. It's all made up. And Donald Trump is spreading his lies. But like I said, Iran knows the truth and all these other countries know the truth. So when you're lying like that, you're not projecting strength. You're projecting desperation. And it is just sad and it is pathetic. And everybody sees right through what he is doing.
And the scary part, Brett, to your point earlier, the conversation that you and Ben had while watching the local cable television network or whatnot, is these cable networks are carrying water for the Trump regime. They are amplifying the propaganda that's coming out of the White House. Look, we need a strong fourth estate here in this country. Like, I don't just bash corporate media for the sake of bashing corporate media. No, absolutely not. But what's happening right now is we need honest reporting, people with integrity to stand up, play the clips, show the receipts, show the data, the propaganda coming out of the Trump regime, White House, along with what's being reported overall on cable networks right now. It would make Kim Jong-un blush, Ben.
Right. Donald Trump keeps on making posts. Don't be a panicking, or he'll repost other people saying Donald Trump isn't panicking. I mean, just think about in past wars.
Famously, people who aren't panicking tell people constantly, don't panic, don't panic, I'm not panicking.
Like meme after meme of I'm not panicking, other people saying Trump isn't panicking. And then he's posting these single spaced, all caps, 1,600 word social media posts. The Supreme Court of the United States has ransacked the entire country. They ransacked. It's a right-wing Supreme Court with a lot of the people there, people you appointed. The Supreme Court is an unjust political organization going after MAGA and the Republicans, or all of these judges are treating us unfairly. And then in addition to making up that there's a coalition of countries that are working with the United States in the Strait of Hormuz, which is false. For those listening, we're just showing some of these graphics right now, just so you know that I'm not making this up. No panicins. Peace through strength, no panicins. So in addition to making up fake coalitions in a war, right? This is war and peace, life and death, right? Trump's making up fake coalitions, which just think about how dangerous and deranged that is. Donald Trump is also lying and saying that they've opened up direct communications with Iran, and that the Iranian foreign minister is speaking to Steve Witkoff, and that Iran really wants to make a deal right now. But the deal just isn't good enough for Donald Trump. So Trump's rejecting the deal terms, that Iran is so desperate for a deal. And then Iran's out there posting these people in the United States are entirely delusional. They're like, we're not having any discussions. We're not interested in a ceasefire until the United States recognizes the pain that they need to feel right now, or recognizes that they're losing, we're not doing anything. He goes, the foreign minister of Iran, Aragchi, goes, and when we say we don't want a ceasefire, it isn't because we seek war. This war must end in a way that ensures our enemies never again think of repeating these attacks. They have now seen what kind of nation they are dealing with, one that will defend itself and one that will take this fight as far as necessary. So the Trump regime leaks to like this Axios guy a lot, Barack Ravid, and he'll say direct communications channel between Iranian Foreign Minister Aragchi and U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff has been reactivated in recent days, according to U.S. officials and a source with knowledge. Right, the source with knowledge is likely Witkoff and Jared Kushner, right, who lie about everything. They do lie about everything in my opinion, and in my opinion, they're probably the source. And it's like, then Trump's like, Iran's reaching out to us. And ultimately, Iran knows they're not reaching out to you. So when you say something like that, Iran will think, wow, we've got them right where we want them. They're so scared that they have to make up to manipulate the oil markets right now.
I was going to say, Ben, think about the timing of Trump's statements, right? Donald Trump made the comments about this, newly formed kind of coalition of the willing who is going to protect the Strait of Hormuz, like, what was it, 10 minutes before oil futures opened yesterday? Like, this is his strategy. And if you notice, Donald Trump will announce bad things happen in his own way, obviously, after the markets close, and he will announce good things happen right before the markets close, because it's all a market manipulation game. And by the way, you could guarantee that there are a lot of people in the know that are making a ton of money. But Ben, I got to say, this is why your court reporting on the Trump trials was so important leading up to this, because it really broke down Trump's strategy and also shows how to get the truth out of the situations that are happening. And I'm thinking back to the Trump case and to the Trump organization, where the judge was furious that Donald Trump kept making up things over and over and over again. So they had to appoint an independent monitor to go through the Trump organization financials. And that independent monitor who was looking through the Trump organization financials kept seeing that they were being duplicitous, to say the least. They were deceiving the public and deceiving the courts. Now, transfer that over to the situation that we are currently in, and we are seeing that Donald Trump is lying about what is happening in these negotiations. Now, I want to say, of course, the Iranians also have their incentives, and they also are spreading their propaganda. But Donald Trump is just outright lying here. And we also know, you have to weigh whose propaganda is probably more in line with the truth versus the other. That's where the independent monitor comes in. And in this case, we had an independent monitor, as we've been saying on the show repeatedly. There was a monitor from Oman who was in the room with Donald Trump and with the Iranians. He went on television the day of the strikes that Donald Trump, the first strikes against Iran, and said that Iran had offered all these concessions that went even further than Barack Obama's Iran nuclear deal. He went on TV to say that, to make sure the public knew that before Donald Trump tried to go out there and start this war and lie about it. So that independent monitor actually is the one who gave the American people the truth back then. And that is what these Iranian leaders right now kind of continue to reference, because he's somebody the United States was cool with being in the room. And so we just see the lies right now. They're so incredibly obvious coming from Trump. And as I said, the lies just reek of desperation.
Right. And one of the things the Iranians keep on referencing is Donald Trump's connection with Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein class. They repeat that over and over again. And I said that was going to be their strategy because it's effective. And I'm not like saying it's effective like yay, go Iran. We need to understand what's happening, both the Iranian propaganda and the United States propaganda. And we need to figure out how the United States can get out of this unlawful war and how we try to make things less worse at this point, because what Donald Trump's doing is an absolute disaster. Donald Trump is a morally compromised individual his entire life, right? He is a sicko. And when Donald Trump is out there palling around with Jeffrey Epstein, and when his regime is covering up a child sex trafficking ring with their despicable DOJ, which Donald Trump has his photo plastered on as a billboard, when the entire world knows that one of the reasons Donald Trump rushed into this war, in addition to Netanyahu saying that he was going to attack first, which Netanyahu realized how vulnerable Donald Trump was here as a result of the Epstein files coming out, and Donald Trump being, named over and over again. Netanyahu knew the right time to kind of put the pressure on Donald Trump with everything coming out with Epstein. Then Donald Trump chased Netanyahu, and Trump viewed all saying, hey, this could be a distraction from in my opinion, this could be a distraction from the Epstein files as well. Iran just repeats that over and over again and goes to their own people, which is like, hey, you want to be controlled by people who are covering up child sex trafficking? You want to be controlled by the Epstein class? You all saw these emails. These are the people who are running this war right now. It's Trump and his crew of Epstein class people. Now, by the way, that is an effective messaging. And this is why when people are surrounding, even in other countries where the person may not even had the direct connection with Epstein, if they were responsible for bringing somebody into the government who did, the person who was responsible for bringing the person in, not just the person in, they all have to go. And the reason they have to go is if you're morally compromised, you really can't be a leader. And you certainly can't be leading at the highest level. That's why moral character matters right here. So that gets repeated over and over again. And Donald Trump and Hegseth and the Trump regime play into all of the things that America's enemies say about America. They're out there. I mean, the Trump regime people, we're going to rain death. We're going to do this for fun, right? One of the things that Donald Trump said about going after the Karg Islands, he said this, in various interviews. He keeps repeating it. This is fun. Yeah, we bombed the hell out of it. We decimated it. I may bomb it again because I find it fun. Well, that's a war crime right there. When Pete Hegseth says, we will show you no quarters, quite literally a war crime is showing no quarters. Right? I mean, like in war, the rules of war, the laws of war, you have to show quarters to people, if they're, desperate and they're not posing a threat.
And Ben, it's interesting to note how this all shifted too, right? I mean, think about the messaging at the very beginning from the Trump regime. Think about back in February, right? What were they pushing for? They were pushing for freedom for the Iranian people. Get out there and protest. There were these pro-democracy protests that were forming against the Iranian regime. And Donald Trump said, get out there in the streets. The United States has your back. And so the Iranians went out in the streets, assuming that the United States had their back. The United States did not have their back. These pro-democracy protesters in Iran got slaughtered by the tens of thousands. Donald Trump did absolutely nothing. He waited and waited and waited. And when he did actually take action months later, the first thing he did was bomb a school with more than 165 girls in it. And now he's indiscriminately talking about the Iranians, they're nasty people. I'm not sure if they deserve our help. And as Ben said, playing into all those sort of ugly American stereotypes that the Iranian propaganda is pumping out, while the Iranian propaganda is actually being quite sophisticated and is speaking to issues that Americans care about. Like, why are you engaging yourself in this war and not helping the American people get health care? Why are you not worrying about the American people's gas prices? Why are you engaging in Israel's war when the American people need your help? Why are you covering up for the Epstein files? I'm not defending that, but I think it is important that we understand the difference in the propaganda tactics and how poor Donald Trump's communication is in this moment, and how that is being used right now to turn even those people in Iran who would be sympathetic to the United States, helping them out. It's turning the United States against him because it is affirming all of the Iranian regime's propaganda, and that's why it's so dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And then when you look at Donald Trump and the Hegseth of them all, I've always referred to these people as high school bullies, right? They take on this high school bully dynamic, this character, this machismo that they try and put out there. When they put out this just other buffoonery of, oh, we're going to bomb the hell out of them and bomb them again, and we love it, and we're going to show no quarters, and they act like this tough guy, they've actually never looked weaker. And they actually make America look as weak as we could be. When they act like this, it is embarrassing. It's actually genuinely humiliating for me as Americans seeing our leaders behave in the ways that they are. Now, the issue with these particular high school bullies that we have, quote unquote, at the highest level of government and leadership at this moment is that they have access to a lot of firepower. And they are very dangerous to what they could do. Brett talked about the school with the girls' school and all of that. It's really horrific, war in general. But now when you see the specifics of what is being committed, what is happening, it's devastating. It's devastating when you realize that you don't have leaders taking the wheel that are calm, cool, and collected, and just people that want to play to this very slim base of, I'm going to bomb the hell out of them and then cheer that on. It's ridiculous to me that we've come here as a country, Ben.
2 quick points. Number one, Jared Kushner is currently fundraising in the Middle East. He wants another $5 billion for his private equity firm.
Disgusting.
And so what does the foreign minister of Iran do? Post the article about Jared Kushner fundraising and says, while the American troops who are coming home in caskets that are draped with the American flag, Jared Kushner is out there, and they need to raise funds using GoFundMe right now in the United States. Kushner is out there, raising $5 billion from Arab nations after the United States security umbrella has failed the Arab nations, and all of the promises in the pay-for-play schemes, the play part, the quid pro quo where you got to pay for the play, the Trump regime, the same way Donald Trump bankrupted his casinos and screwed over the creditors and screwed over the contractors. He's doing this in war, and the American people are also getting screwed over royally as well. Another point that I think needs to be noted: who's Donald Trump having out there right now as like his main surrogates of the war? It is Kevin Hassett, the National Economic Advisor. It is Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. It is the Energy Secretary.
All economic people, eh?
All economic.
Not people who have any strategy of the war, not the Secretary of State. You'd expect Marco Rubio to be the guy who's be there every day. You'd expect Pete Hegseth to be the guy out there every day. But I think the reason is that they can't answer questions about the strategy behind this war because they have no strategy, and their objectives that they keep claiming continue to shift. Like, it seems like the main objective right now of this war is to open the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz was open before the war. That's a new objective that was now forced in there because Donald Trump, we're showing this image again, help me open Hormuz. That's a new objective now. They're forced in because of Donald Trump's actions, sparking this global energy crisis. And so you could tell Donald Trump is not concerned about life. He's not concerned about really much of anything. You could tell by Donald Trump putting those people who've been mentioned on the television that Donald Trump is concerned about keeping the stock market doing okay, and he's worried about the oil markets. Donald Trump cares about the markets. That's all he cares about. And you know that he is panicked that his war is having a devastating effect on the economy and on the markets.
Yeah, and then caring about the markets the way he does from the perspective of directly manipulating the markets is counterintuitive and harms the markets versus allowing what the right wing claimed they once cared about, free markets. Donald Trump doesn't care about free markets. Donald Trump cares about Trump manipulated markets. And when he's tried to manipulate his own markets in the past, he's gone bankrupt. All right. When we come back, I want to come back with receipts. I want to show you, boom, fact. So if you have family members and friends who are, maybe new to the Midas Touch Network, and they say, okay, we heard the brothers spend the first part, saying these things. Show me the evidence. I want to be members of the jury because I want to make a decision. I'm not hearing this stuff on corporate news. Show me the facts. Show me the receipts. We're going to do that when we come back after our first quick break. A reminder, make sure you hit subscribe. We're on our way to 7 million subscribers here at the Midas Touch Network. Help us get to 7 million subscribers. Subscribe on audio as well. Help us with put those audio reviews on the audio podcast. As you know, as Brett said, we don't know what's going on with Apple's podcast system right now. And so all the help you can provide us there is great. And one of the best ways you can help us is just leave a 5-star review after watching this. We'll be right back after our first quick break of the show.
Ask any small business owner, they'll tell you finances get messy quick. A bank account here, QuickBooks there, tax and invoicing apps stacked on top. Before long, you're buried in expensive tools, behind on books, and unsure where your business really stands. That's why there's Found. Found eliminates the clutter by giving you one platform that handles it all. Banking, bookkeeping, invoices, and taxes. No more paying for multiple subscriptions and dealing with clunky, outdated apps. Found identify the tasks that create the most hassle for small businesses. Things like categorizing expenses, preparing for taxes, managing invoicing, budgeting, and they built an app that does it all, directly from your business checking account. They've automated things like tracking expenses, finding write-offs, and budgeting for tax time. You can even send invoices for free and pay your contractors. Everything all from one app. Found makes it easy to regain control of your business finances so you can get back to doing what you love. Just think about the stress of juggling multiple apps, chasing receipts, or dreading tax season. Now imagine what it's like to have everything, banking, bookkeeping, invoicing, and taxes handled in one place. Found understands the unique challenges facing small business owners and entrepreneurs. If tax season stresses you out as much as it stresses me out, you'll be thrilled to know that Found estimates your taxes and helps you set money aside. I've never felt more in control of my business finances. Take back control of your business today. Open a Found account for free at found.com. That's FOUND.com. Found is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services are provided by Lead Bank, member FDIC. Join the hundreds of thousands who've already streamlined their finances with Found. Ever wake up sweaty, freezing, or just uncomfortable? The temperature in your bedroom can make or break your sleep. That's why I switched to Miracle Made sheets. They're inspired by NASA technology and use silver-infused temperature-regulating fabric to help you sleep perfectly all night long. Miracle Made sheets feel just as good, if not better, than sheets you'd find at a 5-star hotel, but without the steep price tag. Smooth, breathable, and ridiculously comfortable. Thanks to their antibacterial silver technology, Miracle Made sheets stay cleaner and fresher up to 3 times longer than regular sheets. That means fewer odors, fewer wash cycles, and way less laundry. All that hidden bacteria in regular sheets, it can clog your pores and cause breakouts. Miracle Made's antibacterial design helps you sleep cleaner and clearer night after night. Miracle Made sheets are crafted with NASA-inspired silver-infused fabric that helps regulate your body temperature. Hot sleeper, cold sleeper, it doesn't matter. These sheets help keep you in the comfort zone all night long. Upgrade your sleep or give the gift of better rest. Go to trymiracle.com/Midas to try Miracle Made sheets today. You'll save over 40%, and when you use the promo code Midas, you'll get an extra 20% off plus a free 3-piece towel set. They make for an amazing gift, and with a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's no risk. That's trymiracle.com/Midas, code Midas at checkout. Thanks to Miracle Made for sponsoring this episode.
Shout out to our sponsors. Links in description of the YouTube and the audio. Use the links, use the codes. If there's an exit survey, let them know we sent you. Benji, real quick, before we get into those facts, data, and receipts that you were talking about, I did just want to say thank you to this community. We did talk about the Apple podcast and it's being very weird, and I'm sorry if you're still having trouble. Please keep checking. But 3,000 of you went and left reviews from our show last week when we were asking the community, and just like, I just love you guys so much. Like the Midas Mighty, this pro-democracy community, every time that we really ask for your guys' help, y'all always come through without fail. So don't stop. Keep doing it. Keep leaving the reviews. We're going to try and get this fixed. I know it's still not working for a lot of you guys. We're going to do our best. If you guys continue to keep doing your part, I just wanted to say thank you so much.
We're talking to Apple. They said they're talking to their engineers. They don't know what's going on.
Just happens to only be affecting our show.
Affect the Midas podcast.
Weird.
Okay. But we keep on pushing. We fight on. We don't let anything deter us. Ben.
Like, remember when Donald Trump during COVID said, like a miracle, it's all going to go away. We're bending the curve. By Easter, COVID will be eradicated. It's basically the same exact playbook. And by the way, Donald Trump throughout this term has consistently made up fake conversations with world leaders. This person said this person said that. And Donald Trump did it in the context of trade and what that had led to, and we've been reporting on it very diligently here for over a year, is all these countries forging their own trade alliances outside of the United States. Canada's been really asserting itself with Prime Minister Carney, serving really as like the intermediary or the organizing force, linking trans-Pacific partnerships with transatlantic partnerships, and then going down to kind of Central America, South America, Mexico, and really just cutting out the United States. So we had seen this developing at trade levels, on mutual defense levels. We've seen like Canada and Europe entering into defense pacts. We've seen Nordic defense pacts, and really starting to develop as Donald Trump has been significantly weakening NATO. And look, to be fair, there were a lot of people who still are within NATO, these top generals and top people who are doing their best to hold it together. But obviously, when Donald Trump continues to support Vladimir Putin, remove sanctions from Russian oil, allowing Russia to make billions of dollars right now in this in Donald Trump's disastrous war in Iran. Russia's the biggest beneficiary. They were on the ropes economically, and Donald Trump just gave them a massive bailout. All the while, Russia's out there saying, we're helping Iran. By the way, the Iranian foreign minister is going out there and saying, Russia and China, they are helping us militarily. Like, they're not hiding the alliance right now. Like, they're saying it out loud. Russia's saying, yep, we're helping them. It's not like a secret thing. And Iran is out there saying, yes, we have military, political, and economic support right now from Russia and China right now. And that's the alliance, right? It's Iran, it's Russia.
And then meanwhile, what's Donald Trump saying? China, will you please help us? China,
help us,
please, don't you want to help us?
Why isn't China helping us? Because they want to hurt you. Like,
they're
the
our
only
adversary, dude. They're our geopolitical adversary. What the hell are you thinking?
And by the way, if you look at what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz right now, there's about 3 or 4 cargo ships that are being allowed to go through. And if you follow the shipping the path that these ships are taking, they're going right around. They're being very close to the Iranian coast, which is kind of an unusual pattern, which has signaled to a lot of people that the reason they're probably taking that pattern is that in all the other areas, there are probably mines right now, and that Iran is controlling just that narrow strip right by the Iranian coast, whether that's for India, because we know India is now negotiating bilaterally with Iran. China is working directly with Iran. So look, the issue that China has is it's really dependent on the oil from the Middle East. So it needs to figure out a solution here, that's for sure. But it is also allied with Iran, and China seeing the U.S. suffer like this. For China, this is like a strategic imperative right now that they're seeing take place at warp speed, to use another term, from the Trump regime. And Russia's seeing it as well. And Zelensky's out there saying, look, Trump, we're trying to give you our interceptor drones, these 10,000 interceptors, and give you the know-how how to shoot down these Shahed drones. And over the weekend, Donald Trump was out there saying, we don't need Zelensky's help. He's the last person I want to talk to. And by the way, he's a pain in the ass to negotiate with. I like negotiating with Putin, not Zelensky. Zelensky's literally trying to say, we have the technology to help you, while Donald Trump is attacking Zelensky. So the point I was making, though, was as all of this is going on, and we know that Trump lies about everything. I gave the COVID reference. These lies were already forging changes in a geopolitical structure that we've been very focused on before the war. Now this has all been accelerated. And also these lies that Donald Trump tells in a war setting, again, doesn't even work for any outrageous propaganda value at all. It's just completely and utterly pathetic. And now you have like the foreign minister of Iran saying, because Trump and his people are saying, we're speaking with Iran, we're speaking with Iran. And then the foreign minister of Iran's like, no, my last contact with Mr. Witkoff was prior to his employer's decision to kill diplomacy with another illegal military attack on Iran. Any claim to the contrary appears geared solely to mislead oil traders and the public. And I guess what pisses me off or makes me have difficult feelings to grapple with is like, I know here the Iranian foreign minister is telling the truth. And I know our government is lying as it relates specifically to this issue, right? Why would Iran be lying about, that specific issue if it thought that it was getting obliterated? We know that Iran was striking the Dubai airports today. We know that Iran is having a lot of Middle East nations reach out to it to try to negotiate bilateral. We know that Donald Trump is stuck right now. And so, no, the Trump regime is out there clearly manipulating the markets right now, and they're just lying about communications that are not taking place. Let me show you what Iran's military command is saying right now, because they're now doing these videos in English, just like mocking Donald Trump. So this comes from their central headquarters in Iran. They're saying, oh, you call this epic fury, it's epic fear. You're not going to get out of this by tweets, Donald. Here, play this clip.
A message to the President of the United States. The outcome of war cannot be determined by tweets. The result of a war is determined in the field, the very place where you and your forces do not dare to approach, and you can only talk about it in your tweets. It's better to name this war as epic fear instead of epic fury.
I mean, how is it that our people now look like Baghdad Bob, and their people are saying things that intuitively we're like yes, why is Donald Trump handling this by social media, all caps tweets, don't be a panicking? It's ridiculous.
I mean, I think one day this will be analyzed, beyond the strategic missteps that Donald Trump engaged in going into this war in the first place, especially with zero objectives whatsoever, seemingly constantly shifting goalposts, not looping our allies into what he was going to do, telling our allies to F off, and then begging them to come into the fold. Combining not only that aspect, but the communication aspect, I think in the future is going to be it's going to be really studied, how this war was communicated to the public and what a failure in communication Donald Trump and his regime have been doing compared to the Iranians, who are using Donald Trump's typical tricks against him in so many ways. I mean, this is such a failure at the highest levels, and Donald Trump has made the United States look so incredibly weak. And seeing all of these leaders, all of these statements, we saw the leaders from Germany, from the UK, from South Korea, from Japan, all over the world today, all releasing statements. German Chancellor Merz on Iran saying we will not participate in this war. There were a whole bunch of statements. I mean, Japan saying Japan does not currently plan to dispatch naval vessels to escort ships in the Middle East. That was what the Prime Minister of Japan said. Britain, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, said that he will not let the country be drawn into the wider war. European foreign ministers said that they do not want to be drawn into the wider war. I mean, this is like a full court press from the entire world. You see Italy's foreign minister saying diplomacy is the right way to solve issues in the Strait of Hormuz, and that they will not be sending any naval, missions to the strait to help. Greece, a government spokesperson, said on Monday that Greece would not engage in military operations in the Strait of Hormuz. We just are seeing this now from every single country. Do we have the statement from the German, the guy in the German? I want to bring this up from the defense minister, Boris Pistorius, because I thought this was like a particularly big kind of FU to Donald Trump. He said, what does Trump expect from a handful of Europeans that the powerful U.S. Navy cannot do? This is not our war. We have not started it. Basically saying, you, Donald Trump, are saying that the U.S. Navy is this all-powerful force. What could we, are these lowly Germans who you've demeaned, and the EU, what are we going to possibly bring to the table? I mean, that's why I said that Donald Trump has brought us into the great American humiliation. We have never seen such a repudiation of the United States from foreign leaders. And in a big way, they're teaching Donald Trump a lesson of how the world works. And it reminds me of what Zelensky said in February 2025. We played this clip on our social media recently, and I know Ben has brought it up. But remember what Zelensky said in that Oval Office, that infamous Oval Office day. You had President Zelensky of Ukraine sitting in the Oval Office next to Donald Trump and next to J.D. Vance. And Zelensky was saying, listen, there's going to be a day. You may be protected right now by the ocean, but there's going to be a day when you are involved in a war and you need the help of your friends. And Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, don't tell me what to feel. Don't tell me what to feel. You don't tell me what we're going to do. And Zelensky's like, I'm not telling you what to feel, what you're going to feel. I'm just telling you how the world works. One day there will be a time where you will feel it because you will be in the middle of combat. You will be in the middle of a war and you will need to rely on your friends. That was when, there was the whole JD Vance. What do you wear a suit? That was that whole saga where they shouted Zelensky down. Well, I think that moment right there is going to be a moment that is in history as a moment of the foresight of Zelensky and his diplomacy, of him warning Donald Trump. It's like an omen to Donald Trump. Like, you better listen up, dude, because you need others as well. But Donald Trump refused that premise. And now we are witnessing the karma of that happen in real time. And unfortunately for us, it's to the detriment of the United States, and it's to the detriment of the security of the United States and of our allies. And it's all caused by Donald Trump and the sycophants around Donald Trump who refuse to stand up to him and refuse to say anything. I mean, we've seen people interviewed like Bessent, and they've asked Bessent, they've said stuff like, hey, like, if you thought that a move Donald Trump was going to make would be devastating for the global economy, would you tell him that? You would think your advisors, you hire advisors to give their advice, right? To maybe push back sometimes and say, I don't know, that's such a good idea. I'm an expert in this field. That's why you picked me. But Bessent was like, no, I would never tell the president what to do. I can't do the Bessent like Ben could do it. So I'm not gonna attempt it. But you get what I'm saying here. You just have a bunch of yes men around him who are leading us right now to disaster. Donald Trump's back is against the wall. And to me, that's the scariest part about all of this, because desperate people do desperate things.
And it's why we say too that Trump, the regime, the cabinet, everyone that Trump has put around him, they're just yes men. They're trying to appease one audience, and they've even admitted it that they are trying to appease Donald Trump. So if it's going to actually benefit Americans, and Donald Trump is proven wrong in certain instances, they won't tell him, because they're too scared or because they're just that complicit in wanting to do Donald Trump's bidding. Now, I'm so sick of this idea and this concept, by the way, that Donald Trump is this great negotiator, this great genius businessman. He wrote a book about it, The Art of the Deal. Oh, what a genius he is. I'm not saying this to be like, he's probably the worst negotiator that's ever existed. And it's because he hasn't had to negotiate in the same playing field that folks actually have to negotiate in. Why? Because again, he had daddy's money that he just blew up. He had daddy's money and his name. So anytime in his prior business dealings where he was trying to do negotiations, well, guess who has the upper hand when they have all of the money and all of the name behind you and all of the clout and all of the stuff that comes with it? The person that has all of that. And so now when Donald Trump is trying to negotiate on a global stage, he has to start playing by rules that are a bit more fair. And what he's trying to lean into is the superiority of the United States and the United States military. And it is vastly incredible. And there's no way around that. But you have to actually be able to come to the table and negotiate on real terms with people that actually want to make progress. You can't just say you're the best, talk about how all you have are the best things, and expect people to just bend the knee and admit, okay, yeah, you are. Yeah, okay, we'll do whatever you have to say, Donald Trump. He is the worst person to be in charge of this moment right now. And as I keep saying, it is going to get even worse than what we are already seeing. And our American troops are paying the price. Our collective economy is paying the price. It's devastating. The impacts are devastating.
Yeah, look, I think about the Greek and Roman tragedies I read in college. I think about the Shakespearean stories that I read. I think about Aesop's fables. You think about these characters, right, that are stand-ins for, arrogance, and stand-ins for, people who ultimately get this karma after going through, all of these machinations. And when you read it, sometimes you would be like, yeah, but no one's really like that in real life. Like, that's not, like, you're exaggerating. But the reality is that Donald Trump is like himself an exaggeration of the exaggeration in these Greek and Roman tragedies of, like, the fallen leader who was so arrogant that he led his country off the cliff, right? Like, that's actually what is happening in real time. And the things that Donald Trump's saying are so outrageous and so dangerous that you're like, did he really just say that? I'll just give you examples. During a press conference today, Donald Trump said, no one thought Iran was going to go after all these countries. They weren't supposed to do that. That wasn't the plan. Says who? You were warned about exactly that from your generals and the Arab nations, and Iran said, this is what we will do if you attack us. Here's our plan. It was well known. I knew about it. I was talking about it 2 months ago. Let's put it this way. I'm not trying to criticize myself, though, but if I knew about it 2 months ago, I would certainly hope people around Donald Trump knew about it. You all knew about it. Here, play this clip.
And power. Look what happened in the last 2 weeks. They weren't supposed to go after all these other countries in the Middle East. Those missiles were set to go after them. So they hit Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. Nobody expected that. We were shocked.
Nobody expected that. We were shocked. Well, that right there should be disqualifying. If that truly shocked you, you deserve to be impeached and removed, and you deserve to be behind bars, frankly, for lots of other things. But that's certainly impeachable in my mind. Easily impeachable. If that isn't impeachable, I don't know what an impeachable offense is. Okay, if that's not 25th Amendment, I don't know what the 25th Amendment is there for. Or Donald Trump, after saying that we need the help of all of these nations to help us in the Strait of Hormuz, then saying they joined us. Now he says, we don't need anybody. We're so strong. We don't need anybody at all. Here, play this clip.
We don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react. Because I've been saying for years that if we ever did need them, they won't be there. Not all of them, but they won't be there. I was very surprised with the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom, 2 weeks ago, I said, why don't you send some ships over? And he really didn't want to do it. I said, you don't want to do it. We've been with you. You're our oldest ally. And we spent.
It was a test. We don't need them. I was testing them. They failed the test. But then Donald Trump says, we strongly encourage nations to get involved with us quickly and with great enthusiasm. Join us quickly and with, what does it even mean? Join us quickly and with great enthusiasm. Here, play this clip.
Well, under that land, we strongly encourage the other nations to get involved with us and get involved quickly and with great enthusiasm. I have that from a number of them, and I'd like to say their names, but frankly, I don't know if they would want me to or not, because maybe they don't want to be targeted. But I say, wouldn't matter if you're targeted or not.
I just don't want to tell you their names. I have a girlfriend. She goes to another school. I'm not going to tell you what her name is. I'm not going to tell you who she is. But, I mean,
She lives in Canada.
She lives in Canada. I met her on. Okay. Anyway, so then Donald Trump says, you said that Iran wants to make a deal with you. What do you make of that? They want to make a deal with you. Here, play this clip.
Very much. So go ahead, please.
Mr. President. Mr. President, you've said that Iran does want to make a deal. Now, into the third week of this bombing campaign, what would that deal look like? What are the asks that you're making of the government?
They want to make a deal. They're talking to our people. I don't know if they say that to you. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Don't forget, they are a country that for years, I didn't know this until recently, they're a country based on disinformation. And now they're using disinformation plus AI. And that's a terrible situation. That's a terrible situation.
By the way, Donald Trump uses AI for a lot of things, number one. Number two, what do you mean? You just realized they're a country of they're a country of misinformation. And number three, they're not talking to you. They're not. They don't want to. There's no incentive for them to talk to you because you utilize a negotiation to attack. So even if they did, what would be the purpose of them doing it when if they talked with you, you're just going to view any type of negotiation as a vulnerability to then exploit it. Like that's obviously, what you do. I want to pause there for a moment. So we got to take our last quick break of the show. Brett, I want to get your reaction to all of that because any one of those clips, if any other president said that. That would be front page news everywhere. And I think that we would hop past impeachment to criminally charge this person right away, because frankly, what I observed there, in my opinion, was a form of treason. Like, that behavior to me is treason. We're in war, and that's what the commander in chief is saying. In my opinion, that's treason, but I want to hear from the brothers. I want to hear from the Midas Mighty in your comments below as well. Do you think that's treason? I think it's obviously, but that's my opinion. We're all entitled to our opinion under the First Amendment. Let's take our last quick break of the show. A reminder, hit subscribe here. Help us get to 7 million subscribers. Tell us what you think. And subscribe to the Midas Touch podcast on audio, and also subscribe to our Substack at MidasPlus.com. Last quick break of the show. We'll be right back.
My cat hears the news with me every morning, and honestly, she handles it way better than I do. Probably because she starts her day with Smalls. This podcast is sponsored by Smalls. Is the news making you want to cuddle up with your cat? Smalls fresh cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free, 100% human-grade ingredients you'd find in your fridge. And it's delivered right to your door. That's why Cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food. For a limited time, get 60% off your first order plus free shipping when you head to smalls.com/Midas. Starting with Smalls is easy. Just share info about your cat's diet, health, and food preferences. Then Smalls puts together a personalized meal plan for your cat. No more picking between random brands at the store. Smalls has the right food to satisfy any cat's cravings. Last time I fed my cat Smalls, she loved it. Legitimately, we did a taste test, put 2 food bowls side by side, and she immediately went to Smalls. My cat actually follows me around every morning until I give her Smalls. Still not a believer in Smalls? Forbes ranked Smalls the best overall cat food, while BuzzFeed said my cats went completely ballistic for this stuff. Smalls is possibly my favorite sponsor ever because my cat's breath is so much better and her fur is so much softer ever since I switched to Smalls. This year's winter coat has been so soft and healthy. After switching to Smalls, 88% of cat owners reported overall health improvements. That's a big deal. And the team at Smalls is so confident that your cat will love their product that you can try it risk-free. That means they will refund you if your cat won't eat their food. So stop guessing which meals will upset their stomach. For a limited time, because you are a Midas Touch podcast listener, get 60% off your first order plus free shipping when you head to smalls.com/Midas. One last time, that's 60% off your first order plus free shipping when you head to smalls.com/Midas. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious low-sugar brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ Bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean label certified and entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial ingredients. All IQ Bar products are packed with clean, delicious ingredients that keep you physically and mentally fit, like magnesium, lion's mane, and more. IQ Bar's plant protein bars are the smarter snack choice with plenty of plant protein, tons of fiber, and no added sugar. IQ Mix is a zero sugar drink mix that hydrates with electrolytes, improves mood, and boosts clarity. IQ Joe is a mushroom coffee designed for mental clarity and packed with 200 milligrams of natural caffeine. Plus, it comes in 4 different flavors that will totally transform your morning routine. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their ultimate sampler pack includes all 3. IQ Bar has become part of my daily routine, whether it's starting my morning with IQ Joe, grabbing an IQ Bar or IQ Mix to refuel or rehydrate after a hard workout. I am truly a believer in all IQ Bar products. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text TRUTH to 64,000. Text TRUTH to 64,000. That's TRUTH to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
Let's go. Shout out to our sponsors. Links in description, both the YouTube and the audio. Use the links, use the codes. If there's an exit survey, let them know we sent you. Brett, you're frame mogging me in this episode today because you got the nice suit on. You're looking sharp. You're crushing me right now. You're looking really good for tonight.
I think you're looking good too, but I'm ready to go. You know, I'm ready for it. You know?
Benji, before I toss it to Brett to comment on the clips, I just wanted to comment real quick, and it's just the double standard of which how the media treats a Donald Trump versus how they would treat any other president at any point in time. Imagine if Biden did it. Imagine if Biden was doing all of these things that Donald Trump is going out there saying, and just the utter failure, quite frankly, of what is happening right now. Donald Trump, for whatever reason, and we know the reason, it's because he owns corporate media. He owns the news stations at this point. He gets treated like he's, I don't know, like he's not as bad as everything that we are all witnessing with our eyes. And the constant gaslighting. I keep going back to that conversation that we were having earlier in the show when we were watching that local cable channel here, essentially carrying water for the Trump regime. It's so infuriating to me because, most Americans, they just want to be able to live. They want healthcare. They want to spend time with their families. They want to be able to save up enough to go on vacations. They just want to be able to live. And yet you're somewhere along all of this, they also have to dive in and figure out what's propaganda and what's not. And unfortunately, through the airwaves or the algorithms or whatever other entity that the Trump regime has complete ownership of, they're getting fed this streamlined propaganda right into their brains. And so I just I give it up to our audience here always for continuing to press forward and to look for the facts, the data, the information, the video clips to show your inner circles, because your voice, and I'm talking directly to our audience here, your voice, your individual voices are so important in pulling people out of this propaganda and actually showing them what's going on, especially as you see the ways that corporate entities treat Donald Trump with these kid gloves. It's insane to me, Brett.
There are a few flashpoints, I would say, that have occurred during this second Trump administration, and the absolute disaster of the Epstein files and the way that they handled that and the ongoing cover-up has been one of those flashpoints, and this disastrous war has been another. But I think Donald Trump is so outrageous and so beyond the pale that to kind of the average person who isn't paying as much attention as our listeners, as people who may be following this stuff online, they think like that person has to be exaggerating. Like this person, they're Trump derangement syndrome. Hello, like this is like they're being a little kind of nutty. But what I feel like these moments do is they sort of knock people back to reality a little bit. And I've even seen some, kind of big kind of influencers on the MAGA side of things and big accounts on the MAGA side of things suddenly be like, damn, I hate that they were right. I hate that the Midas guys were right. I hate that, so-and-so was right, because they're seeing it now. It's like you can't get around this issue. And going back to the clips that, Trump was, that Ben was showing before of Trump speaking about this, one of the issues of all of Trump's comments, aside from everything about them, but one of the big issues is that, you have a guy talking about misinformation and disinformation and Iran as a disinformation state and all this stuff, when Donald Trump is the biggest purveyor of disinformation and lying and all those sort of abusive behaviors that he's trying to project on others. So Trump is trying to do the same projection that he does on, when he talks about Democrats, Antifa, blah, 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 all that stuff. He's using the same kind of rhetoric and terminology to talk about Iran, but Donald Trump does not have the moral high ground to do it. And Donald Trump has not ever even explained like what the hell this war is even about to the American people. Like Iraq was a horrible idea and a historic catastrophe, of course, but at least the Bush administration spent months and months and months and months trying to make their case to Congress, making their case to the American people. Like at least they did something. Donald Trump just jumped into this. And then the part that really, really bothers me and should bother everybody, should bother every American. I don't give a damn if you consider yourself left, right, center, Democrat, Republican, is the way that Donald Trump so callously speaks about our dead service members. You know, regardless of Donald Trump's stupidity in getting us into this war, I have the utmost respect for our service members in the United States. And we're learning now tonight from a new report from the Washington Post that the number of troops injured during this war has now surpassed 200. And that's according to a spokesperson from the U.S. Central Command, with 10 still in serious condition. And unfortunately, we cannot fully trust the information that is coming out of the Pentagon in this administration. We know about, the deaths that have happened as a result of this war. And anytime Donald Trump is asked about it, instead of delivering a message to those families who lost loved ones, gave their lives for our country, what does Donald Trump do? That's a terrible question. That's a disgusting question. Get out of here. Next question, next question, next question. I've never seen a president ever, even presidents that I truly did not like and disagreed with on every single level. I have never seen a president who treats our soldiers like this, especially our soldiers who died fighting for our country. It is such a disgrace, but it's no surprise, quite frankly, coming from the guy who called our dead soldiers suckers and losers for even joining the military in the first place.
Absolutely. Want to show you a few things right now. Number one, let me show you this clip here of Donald Trump saying that remember I showed you a clip before of Donald Trump saying, I didn't know who would have thought that Iran was going to attack all of its neighbors. And this clip right here, he says, I predicted everything. I knew everything that was going to happen, just like I knew they would use the Strait of Hormuz as a weapon. And I also predicted bin Laden. I knew bin Laden was going to strike on 9/11. I knew 9/11 before 9/11. Go back and read my book. I predicted 9/11, which, by the way, he didn't. If you go back and read the book that he references, there's like one passing reference to bin Laden, and there's no prediction about 9/11. Again, just everything the guy says is a lie. But here's what he says about the Strait of Hormuz. Let's play this clip.
I knew about the strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago. Predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that. I predicted all of it. I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction a year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad guy. I watched him be interviewed one time, and I said, that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before, exactly. I wrote it in a book. You can even check. About a year before the World Trade Center then came down, President Clinton actually had a shot at him, and he didn't take it. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him for that, but he didn't take it. And he ended up knocking down the World Trade Center, but I predicted that too. I predicted a lot of things. We strongly encourage.
By the way, he sounds and looks not like he if there's, I'm trying to pick my words. Here's the thing. I don't want to use any type of kind of cognitive issue as an excuse for how malicious and disgusting he is. That's why I want to be careful, because I don't want to conflate Trump's despicable maliciousness with an illness that people actually suffer from. So I want to be very respectful and careful in it. The individual who we're looking at there is unwell pathologically, and there are other things going on as well. I think he's a deranged, sick individual, regardless of if there's something physically going on as well. But just even watching that is sickening. Then I'll just show you what Donald Trump then talked about in that press conference about Cuba, and how he really thinks it's going to be fun to take over Cuba. Cuba belongs to him. And again, the language that he is using, in my opinion, it's the language of Hitler. I'm giving you my opinion, right? I have a First Amendment right, freedom of speech, to give you my opinion speech. This is the language of Hitler, in my opinion, of Mussolini, of really sick authoritarians. Here, play it.
It's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change, you know. They won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. But I think Cuba's the end. You know, all my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. Very violent leaders. Castro was a very violent leader. His brother's a very violent leader. Extremely violent. That's how they governed. They governed with violence. But a lot of people would like to go back. Okay.
That's why I said I just got to show you the receipts. At the beginning of the episode, we tell you about what he's saying. Then we analyze it. And then I just want to layer it in with what he said so you know that this is no bait and switch. I mean, the language that he used there is absolutely sick. And by the way, that repels countries that want to help us. I mean, do you all know that, Canada has been running a lot of missions, humanitarian missions, in Cuba for a very long time. Other nations have as well. Other nations that were formerly allied with the United States care about human rights, and they care about, when I was watching this, this Nordic Canada defense event in Oslo the other day, one of the things they keep on mentioning is shared values and principles and uniting around those values and principles in common defense, and that America doesn't have whether they say it overtly or not, that U.S. does not share these values and principles, and the United States doesn't right now, especially under Donald Trump. It doesn't. It's tragic to say this as someone here in the United States, but Donald Trump's language, when Donald Trump goes, he's a very bad guy. Donald Trump's language is of a very bad guy, representing the worst of the worst things imaginable. And so think about, again, how Iran, how China, how they use that as well in order to influence their regions. This is what you want. Donald Trump views you as a pawn. Donald Trump views you as something that he takes as a trophy as part of his imperial ambitions. That's what, that's what Trump is saying out loud. And it makes us weaker. It hurts our troops. It hurts our defense posture. It hurts our ability to forge alliances. And I know that's how our generals feel, for sure. This is weakness this is as weak as you get. It's just it is a very sad moment in history to be an American right now. This is not a proud moment. And I could just, relate that to our international audience. I mean, especially as Donald Trump is threatening media with treason who speaks out against him. And we're one of the biggest out there that speak out against him. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know what's going to happen to my brothers. I have to think about, why I think about this network in terms of legacy and in terms of, this network living on without us, because, who knows what's going to happen here. I hope these episodes and what we do here and what we've helped inspire or just played a small part of, continues to grow. But who knows what's going to happen in this country with a sicko authoritarian like that who you just heard right there. But this makes us weak. This makes us look pathetic. That doesn't make us look strong at all. And it's really the low point in the entire history of the unprecedented in how pathetic the United States looks right now. Brett and Jordy.
I could not agree more. And as you were saying, this constant attempt to project this strength and machismo only makes the United States look weaker. And all of these lies coming from Trump just continues to make us look more and more desperate. And, we should also mention, Ben was just speaking about the media. The FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr yesterday put out a tweet essentially threatening the media and their broadcast licenses if they report what he described as fake information about the war, saying that they need to be honest, they need to be telling the truth, they need to act in the public interest. Well, the Trump administration believes that it is not in the public interest for the media to actually tell the truth about what a disaster this war has actually been. They want the media to launder this propaganda. And, you would think they would even try to hide the ball a little bit on this, but they've been so blatant about it. You saw Pete Hegseth the other day at one of those, deranged, press conferences where he gets up there and it's like, am I watching Colin Jost on SNL up here? Like, what the hell is this? What am I looking at? Like it's like an unfunny, like what the hell am I looking at? And, Hegseth made some sort of comment, I think it was, to a CNN reporter, and he was like, oh, just wait till your new ownership takes over. Then they'll set you straight. Like, typically you're not supposed to, if you're a good authoritarian, you don't actually tell people that you plan on taking over the media, that you plan on having control over the narrative. But they're that bad at this. But it's still that dangerous. So many people in the country are getting their information from people who are laundering government narratives, and that is incredibly dangerous. Mm-hmm. But on the contrary, on the other hand, I think we're lucky that we still have a free press in this country, even if we have a lot of these networks who are willing to bend the knee to this regime, even if they have these billions and billions and billions of dollars to spread their message. I think it's effective that we have the power of the people right now, and we are able to spread our message. And, when I talk about the frustration of us, a lot of you saying that you're unable to get our show on Apple Podcasts, for example, that one of the reasons, the main reason that it frustrates me is because that just means another line of communication between us who are trying to deliver you these facts has been cut off. And that, to me, in this environment is dangerous and it's scary. And that's why, I'm like, I don't know if we're being targeted or not. It's kind of strange that it's our show. But it's a reminder that you have a responsibility holding these facts. You have a responsibility as well listening to the show. And I hope it's kind of an active listening experience for all of you, that when you get this information, that you do something with it. And it doesn't mean you gotta, start an organization or a protest or a podcast or whatever, but just share it, send it to a friend. Let's get these messages out there. And for those, I will say, I would say one of the top platforms that has never censored us, has never pushed us offline, that we really have just such autonomy over is our Substack. So make sure that you are subscribed on our Substack at MidasPlus.com. If anything ever happens to us, we'll always tell you, what's going on our Substack. And we appreciate you for spreading these messages and getting the truth out there.
Absolutely. Just more reporting coming in that there are true wounded numbers over 200 right now. And that number is expected to grow. 200 service members who have been wounded in this ill-fated and disastrous war, according to U.S. Central Command. Also, we're following very closely what's going on in Iraq right now, where sirens there over the U.S. Embassy in Iraq, as well as a one of their most luxurious hotel right over there in Baghdad seems to be under attack as well, though we're gathering a lot more information there. And of course, we'll be focusing that in the video we do in the morning as well. But Iran still being able to utilize its Shahid drones and missiles, with some degree of precision as well. We'll keep you posted every step of the way, as always. Thanks so much for watching this episode. Always an honor to do this with my brothers here. We'll see you next time on the Midas Touch podcast. A reminder, make sure you subscribe, help us get to 7 million subscribers, and help us continue to grow this platform on audio. Subscribe to the audio podcast, Midas Touch. And
I'll say this, I know a lot of people are having trouble with Apple, and I want you to keep trying Apple and keep rating and stuff there, because it's important we stay up in the charts so the information gets out there. And I know a lot of you have gotten the feedback, which is great. If you're still not, another option is to use like any other podcast app. So if you have Spotify, you could go to Spotify, add the show on Spotify, leave reviews on Spotify. There are like a bajillion apps. I could spend the rest of the day naming them, but everywhere else it seems to be working. Apple right now seems to be the issue. And so we're going to keep calling it out. We're going to keep talking to them and see what the hell is going on. But we're really grateful for all your support, honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, for allowing us to get this information to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoy. I get to hear one of these live in the flesh right now.
Watch your ear. I'm really close to
do
you.
Let's do it.
Shout out to the Midas Mighty.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MidasPlus.com.